While we move into the ban phase, usually we miss a few of them. The Elise is one consistent ban from EDG or picked for them, but Fizz is number 1, Ari is number 2, and Taliyah has now shown up as probably the biggest champion of choice for them.
Yeah, but as you said, we've already gotten a few bans going in. It's Shen, Kog'Maw, and Elise. There's the Fizz you were talking about, first picked by EDG.
And naturally, they have Mouse now playing in the top lane. He has been known as a Fizz player for quite a while, actually. And so it is good to see Fizz come into meta for just him, really, for EDG.
Meanwhile, the bans have changed up for OMG as well. Recognizing that Fire Lolly is in means that Ivern is banned away from him, along with that Graves. Frostgearin talked a little bit about Lee Sin from the two of them, so we'll see if that goes through. As Gragas is now picked up and potentially flexed by OMG. So far, their priorities have been AD, top, and mid. And there's AD, jungle, and top. No.
But they've already put a lot of priority just to the Caitlyn pick in particular now after game number 3 or 4 rather's performance. They've acknowledged that it doesn't matter what Zet plays. He is defaulting to Varus every time anyway, and so they ban away the Caitlyn. Ashe is the only mandatory ban from OMG taking it away because they're still on red side.
Yes, and with that Caitlyn, it is AD, top, and jungle. I apologize, that's what I was trying to say earlier. EDG do the exact same thing, so entering into the final phase of bans for this ace match, this game number 5. It's mid and support still left open. They're banning away Syndra and LeBlanc from Icon and Scout. Do they start swapping over towards those supports once again?
Karma and Lulu usually seen, but OMG are banning first. They have the first rotation. We see where they go.
Malzahar taken away, so that's one support. Does the Karma get through for EDG, or do they drop another ban?
Now, you would expect maybe a Karma ban, but Lulu is then going to be the only remaining support of choice. You can pick a Nami into the Lulu, however, Karma also applicable, but then there's also just the fact that we have to ban these champions we mentioned before champion select.
Ari now taken away from Icon, so he'll have to return towards that Taliyah, or perhaps they will prioritize support and give him counter pick, as OMG might have shown their hand in game number 4. We know they've got a little bit more to show, as it looks like Thresh is again going to be the setup for 5 in the bottom lane. So Caitlyn, Thresh being taken back down there. We still got Nami, Karma, Lulu still open.
Yeah, Lulu also will make a bit more sense. Nami, if you're trying to out-sustain them. EDG have been suffering in this bottom lane, mostly due to the AD carry. I really dislike that they have just chosen to go for Varus, acknowledging they're into the Caitlyn. If there was a better champion of choice, they should have went for it, but they just seem to want to have Zet be the Varus, be able to throw the ultimates out there, putting him on utility alongside what seems to be Mako to just make them the engage tools. They want the rest of the map to carry.
Yeah, Mako now going to be the pick, and Taliyah picked up for Scout in the mid lane, so Icon is getting that counter picked away from him. He had to have known it was coming, so now we're going to see what he will take. The Hitman in the mid lane. Does he go hard and put the whole team on his back with Zed, or does he try to play something else, play for the team with that Orianna that we saw in his match against WE?
He can definitely play for his team. I have expectations more so towards this Ori pick. He has got the Echo as a pocket. He can pick something that is an assassin like a Zed, but this just makes the most sense. He's against the Taliyah, and he wants to be able to at least scale up and control the waves in the same way that he has been in the past.
Yeah, and with this, we now have our final compositions. Big smiles out of EDG as they just brought in Mouse and Fire Lolly. Of course, we know Fire Lolly has struggled with nervousness in high-stress situations in the past. Well, this is the highest stress that he's going to have to deal with for at least a few months, because the 2017 year for EDG ends after this best of 5 until the summer split resumes. Same thing for OMG, so a lot on the line here as they try to close out this, claim what championship points they can, and move forward into their break rather happily.
And I like this team composition from EDG. Off the back of a loss, they've come back well. They've drafted themselves comfortable picks. Mouse having Fizz. I literally wrote down Mouse instead of Fizz for no reason as the champion that he chose.
Yeah.
Because that's what I think of at the moment for EDG's top laner. Lee Sin for Fire Lolly and Taliyah for Scout. Definitely going to be comfort picks that they are excelling on throughout the regular season and now playoffs of the LPL.
And those regular picks have been huge for them during the regular season. They need to translate them forward in this Game 5. OMG, the comeback kids have done it again. They have brought us to one single game to determine their placement in the playoff seeding. This is the highest that they have placed since 2014 Summer Split, and OMG as an organization have never beaten EDG in a best-of-5. They are one game away from doing it right here and right now.
And that definitely plays towards the mentality of the players if the organization made that apparent. You would not be hoping to tell your players exactly that. It'd be too much pressure. EDG, though, they're the ones that need to bounce back because OMG have shown that the individual flair of their players has what it takes to beat the roster of Edward Gaming. It's the early game, it's the junglers, it's what they can actually set up, and Firelolly is set up to succeed with the champion of choice.
He certainly is. On that Lee Sin, will he pop off or will he be contained by the rest of Team OMG? We are preparing to load onto the Rift here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's game number 5. OMG versus EDG. The crowds have one final chance.
Still that one aggressive guy for OMG. You've got to give him some credit.
He's leading the chant for them, as that is Flash and Ghost from Icon to escape from an early invade, utilizing that Braum very early on.
There was also the Ghost from Scout used. So EDG obviously have done some kind of early invade here to try and lock them down as we go through the Keystone Masteries.
Yeah, taking a look. Scout returns towards his own jungle just in case there were anything cheeky going on from OMG, but they're playing it safe instead.
And nothing crazy from those Masteries. Again, 5 has gone for Courage of the Colossus, not Stoneborn Pact, which is what Mako has actually gone for. As obviously the Chinese commentators are talking about Mouse and Firelolly. They're zooming in on them.
Yep. It is good to see them return here, though they will have to show us something really big in this matchup. As Renekton versus Fizz has been the matchup on both sides of the top lane for several games in a row now. We do have a very aggressive leash onto Firelolly very early on, which means that SMLZ and 5 will get priority in that lane. Completely smiteless.
Mako also tanking a few shots for him because the Raptors do a lot of damage to Lee Sin's health bar. If he's to commit to taking those out, means you want to stay a little bit healthy moving towards your next camp. As World 6 got one of the worst leashes it seems to be of all time.
Ooh, actually uses Smite instead of completing his auto attack.
And he's not going over to finish those Raptors off. 1 CS to his name. He is afraid of Firelolly, actually going straight to the blue buff. So he wants to be healthy just in case he finds him. But he doesn't have the Smite to secure it. Not that Firelolly is there, but what we have seen of EDG with their main jungler in Firelolly, he does invade a lot. The first 4 minutes usually quite dynamic.
This time, though, doing something unexpected in playing it normal.
Yeah, it just means there's going to be a massive advantage, honestly, to the Lee Sin. Level 6 jungler. World 6, he's just going to have 2 CS right now.
Yeah. Slower start to the Gragas, but he'll return in to clear out more of those camps later on. Just a slight experience deficit because of the travel time overall, but that means that he will have his pick of the litter, whether or not he wants to go bottom or top. As you can see, Mouse trading with Xiong back and forth. 5 pops to play. It's just a bit of damage from Mako as Stoneborn Pact heals Zet just a little bit.
You would imagine pick of the litter is actually quite limited. He had to do Wolves after, and if he goes towards the Raptors, the timing is awkward. Firelolly now very much aware of that. Process of elimination, we'll see if he knows where the Gragas is going to be.
World 6 actually looping around towards the mid lane looking for the Raptors of Firelolly. Drops a ward, but take a look at how Scout is sitting in the lane. He's sitting towards that top side where Firelolly has just cleared off the Raptors. They've even brought 5 up, but he's been spotted out by a ward. Scout has to know that this is coming.
And he's just going to run up towards his Lee Sin. Again, World 6 can't afford to chase any deeper. He is now level 3 with 5 CS. Firelolly has 15 CS and has just taken the entire jungle of this Gragas, who did not get a successful gank off. Like, that was so much time just completely down the drain for OMG's jungler. And now he's still just walking around in the jungle. Went back before continuing to go bottom, not even doing scuttle.
Yeah, he really wants to affect the map off of this jungle start, try to make the time spent worth it. He's avoiding Tribush, doesn't know that it's not warded just yet. He's got a lot of opportunity for a pick if Thresh lands a hook, but sitting back, even Scout is unsure. He must be at Krugs? No, he's not at Krugs. Mako checks it out, drops a ward in Tribush. Yeah, World 6 is wasting so much time, finally turning on to Scuttle.
He's actually doing the hokey pokey.
And just turning himself around time and time again.
Really not good from World 6 is the simplest way to say that, because the advantage that Firelolly has now accrued from all of this time means the level 6 spike that the Lee Sin will see. If he ever spots where Gragas is and acknowledges the experience advantage he's going to have after the recall and clears, massive.
Now Scout trying to push back up against Icon. We already talked a little bit about the Talia versus Orianna matchup as Fire Lily heads top. There's no ward in this tri-bush, and that's a large wave. If Xiong gets greedy for these minions, he could be punished, but that's his slice. They're even bringing Scout up.
You'd have to say the wave is too big for the Renekton, so they need 3 people for this.
Here they go. That's Ignite. Unraveled Earth and the Seismic Shove underneath. Doesn't even burn his Summoner spell as he eats the Sonic Wave and goes down. First Blood Scout.
I actually respect that from Shia. He could have flashed, but nothing was used from EDG to actually lock him down. Seismic Shove wasn't looked at. The wave that's now being missed as well, frozen to the point where Mouse can teleport in with an item spike and maybe even hold it there, catch a couple of extra CS. He has such a big advantage now in this top lane. Unfortunately, the Ignite is also used, so the kill threat's a little bit less. We've seen this already through basically this matchup all series. We pretty much know how it works at this stage.
Xiong's actually making his way down mid lane.
I think he misclicked while he was watching mid.
Yeah. Perhaps
that's just my opinion.
Returning towards some solo queue mentalities, as he does play a lot of mid lane and solo queue.
I have to feel like that was only a misclick. He's now walking the long way through to place a ward. But, I mean, it's not that safe to be in the lane if they try to gank him again. They now know where the Lee Sin is, though.
They do, spotting him out at the Raptor camp. That means SMLZ and 5 have been pressuring all the while as Mako takes shot after shot. And there's the trade. Level 6 picked up by Mouse. Xiong immediately leaps and turns away. He's still got to be afraid of that eventual Chum the Waters, as he's looking for his own Dominus. And World 6 is actually showing up here as well to break this freeze. Here's the trade.
May potentially catch Mouse being overly aggressive, but you wouldn't expect so. So at least breaks that freeze by himself. World 6 being nearby, not even spotted on wards. Mouse just respecting. That's hooked.
Yeah, just pulling Mako back for a little bit of damage. Unbreakable soaks the headshot. And take a look at World 6's CS. He's at 13 to 37 now that red buff has been cleared out. Nearly a third the CS of Fire Lily.
And one more camp until he's 6. World 6 should not be that close himself unless he's soaked up some extra lane farm, perhaps. Expect if he finds the Gromp, it is the only thing available on this side of the map, then he will be 6.
Yeah, it drops another ward out to keep an eye on the vision of Team OMG. World 6 is doing his own red buff. Fire Lolly will finish off this, and Scout is being pulled down as well with Weaver's Wall.
They want to dive.
They are all set up. SMLZ's low health and low mana. There's the Weaver's Wall. SMLZ sidesteps, but then flashes forward and is going to escape. Heal just barely keeps him alive.
Yeah, Seismic Shove does not connect. SMLZ stays alive. The pressure's still here onto this bottom lane outer turret. You'd expect they can lock this one down, just not with this wave. They need more minions to actually help them out. It's coming, though.
They're still trying for it. Fire Lolly taking a few turret shots to make sure that it does. As SMLZ completes his recall again, the turret-style build, as Zet has a very healthy amount of gold as he makes his way back.
But this play starts from looking at the enemy blue buff, which is where Fire Lolly was putting his attention towards. He now suffers in experience. World 6 does actually hit 6 first now, but they get the bottom lane turret. They actually get the gold advantage. Their bottom lane isn't outright losing anymore because they are unlocked to swap lanes if they choose. But you wouldn't actually want to choose that personally. You'd want the Fizz to keep winning.
Instead, they are going to send Zet and Mako back bottom. SMLZ will push this wave out and then likely recall. He does have a moderate CS advantage over Zet. So again, we're seeing SMLZ playing up in this laning phase as Xiong eats Chum the Waters, maximum range for full damage. Fire Lolly flashes the wall, but Xiong already sliced away. He's got his own flash, but that's Ward Hop pinned against the wall, and Fire Lolly uses the crowd control to finish off that kill.
I think it's safe to say that was a lot of commitment, but it's the right idea. World 6 also spotted on some wards, so there's no chance of killing EDG's bottom lane. Talia is actually working down here. There is a chance that EDG try and contest this turret.
Yeah, that's a hook onto Mako. He's so tanky, and the cast is going to pin him to the side. Chain of Corruption also finds SMLZ. They've also even brought Icon down here, so it's 4 versus 3, and SMLZ is tanking turret shots to try trading. The headshot onto Mako is not enough. Teleport is almost up for Mouse, and Xiong has got his. As Icon pushes it forward, the wave is clear. And you're exactly right. EDG managed to hold the line.
By being able to hold that wave, it just buys a bit of extra time. OMG, if they stay down here and they commit to this, they will still get the structure to fall. It just becomes a 1v2 where, honestly, Zet would be too risky to stay around. But OMG are respecting. They're just recalling. They're letting it go. They don't want to actually commit to it.
Yeah, and taking a look as we now get to the 10-minute mark, it's about 2,500 gold for EDG. They got 1,000 from that turret, and they're setting to dive top because Mouse is a massive amount of that gold lead, and they want to make it even bigger.
Talia has no ultimate, so this commitment is risky. If Xiang can get out, he has flash and he's slice and dice.
Scout leads the charge along with Mouse. He's tanking the first few hits, goes once, he's got his flash, there's the lantern, and he makes his way to safety.
Again, having the flash, having 5 just be here, really good foresight from the Thresh. They saw the Talia leave the middle lane with a ward that just died, and he just assumed that they were going to go towards the top lane. This is the difference between a Weaver's wall and not.
It's a 30 CS deficit for Xiang, and he's finally catching some minions. SLZ makes his way mid and takes Ace in the hold onto Zet, but meanwhile, it's EDG who look for the play. Scout, what the heck was that? Sombreros himself, but flashes in, tries to turn it into aggressive play. The knock-up while he's being taken by the Dark Passage. EDG find 2 kills.
2 very quick kills. The idea from SMLZ, I believe, was to place a trap, perhaps on the wall, and see how it interacts. Doesn't get what he was looking for.
Yeah.
He just keeps going along that journey, travels his rock wall in, and they have enough damage to burst out Icon. OMG were actually looking to trade. That's why he sombreros himself. He flashes with the ball on top of himself, has no Q, so just makes the decision. It's a good decision if he had the team nearby, but EDG have more members, they're here sooner, and there was no chance that OMG were going to turn that one around for themselves.
Very close, but not quite close enough, as now it's a 3,500 gold lead. We've got a kill distributed on just about everyone. Massive CS lead up top. Huge CS lead from the jungle. And OMG, once again, they seem to be putting their faith into SMLZ as he's brought to the only safe lane, this mid one.
And whilst they have a CS advantage in mid and in the AD carry role, the kills are still there from EDG this time. It's not Mako that has the 3 early kills. It's actually EDG as a team on their carries. So they are sitting pretty right now, this roster. You have to feel much more confident for them in game number 5.
Bringing in the new substitution for Mouse and Fire Lolly, and they are opening up with a huge advantage early on. Mouse doing it by putting Xiang down, and Fire Lolly is taking advantage of the slow jungling from World 6.
I mean, I just never thought in 2017 I would say that Fire Lolly is the better jungler. There's still so many positives to look at for Clearlove in the games that they won. It's just weird. What's to say that?
Yeah, OMG, though, are going to take some standing gold. They finally break down that bottom tier 1 turret, even letting the minion wave call itself a bit. The first dragon of the game is Cloud Drake, so there's no huge priority for that. Mouse is hard shoving up top as Xiang is caught outside of a recall. Fire Lolly once again shows up there, and Xiang with no flash decides to hang back. There is so much presence from EDG to put Xiang in the bin.
Yeah, consistently Fire Lolly's been on this side of the map. He doesn't work towards Zet and Mako, contrasting these junglers. Perhaps the series World 6 was used to pathing. That's why he went from red to blue, expecting an invade, expecting bottom focus. Fire Lolly had other plans. He was going to play the hard farm game, and now they tank the turret.
Yeah, Fire Lolly takes a few hits, but the turret is finally finished off. Still 4,000 between the teams now. Xiang will have a much happier time trying to keep himself safe under his tier 2, though there is still a smattering of vision on that top side of the jungle for OMG. So they need to respect it. Oh man, even taking the glimpse of the void from Mouse.
Yeah, every time EDG are the only team that I've seen in quite a while that really do seem to consistently want to get the Herald.
They're taking Herald before
reset.
Cloud Dragon, as it does reset completely.
This is the problem with Lee Sin Q. It's hitting Mouse, now it hits him, now it resets twice. Every single time. Fire Lolly should stop following his Q. Or he should be taking the aggro. Just as a small point.
Yeah. Though with Rift Herald being done, OMG are going to turn it onto the Dragon, so they get a neutral objective of their own. But for the next 20 minutes, Mouse will have that glimpse of the Void buff up until the 34-minute mark in this game. And Xiang, I'm sorry, my friend, but that is just a rough top lane.
Yeah, thankfully for Xiang, Mouse has just gone straight down the tank route. Doesn't mean that he's having a better time because of it, but it could have been a lot worse if there was some Sheens or carry items available there for that Fizz, has Ignite, has just still got kill threat, and that Glimpse of the Void actually gives damage to somebody that has tanky items.
Absolutely. And now Recall means Zeal and Zerker Greaves out of SMLZ, still focusing on that turret pushing build, but that also means he's got no completed items as Mako completely wastes the ultimate of SMLZ with that Unbreakable. Meanwhile, Zet does have his own Bladed the Ruin King, and we are seeing the Haunting Guise completion from Scout, Morello's from Icon, so we are hitting some comfortable power spikes, Xiong excluded.
Yeah, and of course the one good thing that we can say towards EDG is the adaptation in drafting for the Braum in particular. It's not the best laning champion, but they're against the Thresh, so much more traditional lane, a bit easier to navigate. And it's also picked for the Caitlyn. Caitlyn, obviously a big bully champion. SMLZ has looked fantastic on it, but it diffuses Ace in the hole, gets rid of the headshots and the traps that everyone stands on. He can just put up the door. So EDG's biggest weakness seemed like them constantly standing on SMLZ's traps were just an ongoing problem. Mako helps to eradicate that issue just from the champion choice.
We've already seen how effective he can be by dropping the ultimate on top of them as Mouse on a flank.
Level 11.
Yeah, he's got Chum the Waters. They actually set up the Weaver's Wall very far behind the turret, and they can only sit from behind the fence and watch as actually World 6 gets chucked over by Scout. Finally, they start getting to the minion wave, but they're eating a lot of harass from him. Command attack and a barrel, plus built over Peacemaker is enough to clear out the minion wave, but that turret took a lot of damage, and Xiong is still catching minions in the bottom lane.
One of the hardest turrets to siege, especially against an Orianna and a Caitlyn, is the middle lane turret. They can still turn this around. OMG, because of the ultimates already being burnt, the Talia and Fizz in particular. But that's still a really good strategy from EDG. You expect them to back away, not take the turret. But they can rinse and repeat this once the cooldowns are back up. They can zone them away from the structures, just have a great time slowly and assuredly removing all of these turrets away from OMG, a strategy they have been using in this whole series.
Yeah, and this is exactly what you've talked about, that the way EDG finds success is to bleed out OMG with these slower, smaller objectives, deny the opportunity for a chaotic 5 versus 5.
Avoid the team fight.
Exactly.
Make them picks only. They've drafted for pick compositions all series EDG, but they've still found themselves stuck in 5v5s. This is a bit awkward.
Mako is like, don't move. Maybe he'll only think I'm a ward.
He just stood still at drag. I'll take that health back.
He even saw the ward go down, but finally decides to turn it around as Scout finishes off his own blue buff once again. Yeah, finally going to take that, and Icon up top, catching a good amount of CS, matching the pace of Scout rather well. Still even in levels too. Xiong, we're still seeing a level down as he's now only 35 CS as compared to 40. And he is getting this wave pushed into him. So slowly but surely the Renekton is coming online, but Fizz now has a Sheen. He's got some boots.
I mean, Renekton will become a thing sooner or later, but he's not winning lane again. The Fizz usually does well. He's doing better than just doing well right now. The Mouse is potentially strong enough to carry a game of League of Legends.
So Rusty, with OMG being down these kills by being down 4,500 gold, how do they turn this around? Do they wait for SMLZ to go 6 items and try to take a massive team fight, or do they look for an opportunity at a neutral objective?
I mean, Icon doesn't need 6 items to be relevant either. They want to actually get SMLZ to a point of power.
Okay.
Because they're both in item troughs, so to speak. You know, Orianna's the Trinity of items type of champion. Morello's Death Cap or Morello's Luden's Void Staff is usually when she's online. Caitlyn's got 2 items as a necessity. It's just farm, hold on, and actually hope that EDG continues to play the game slow, but the gold doesn't accelerate further. However, they're not playing it that slow.
Yeah.
But EDG are still breaking open this gold lead. Xiong can't 1v1 anybody. If they 1-3-1 and Orianna's in a side lane against the Fizz, that's already a mistake.
Very well could be, as the top tier 2 is chipped away and the mid tier 1 finally falls. So now, like you said, EDG, they cannot afford to let SMLZ get absolutely massive and risk a potential team fight. Though they do have a lot of opportunities to try to deal with that as they continue to accelerate it.
As well, like EDG, if they're trying to win by picking people off or playing a pick composition, then naturally OMG's response is to try and get a 5v5 where they're engaging or engage the picks themselves so that somebody's dead. The best way to come back from losing games, really, just make a pick.
They've got 5 on that Thresh, though he will be completing his recall to stock up on a Ruby Sightstone and some wards, leaving SMLZ all on his own. Luckily, though, he's got Icon just behind him to help clear out some of these minions.
You know, if a Varus Q is doing a lot of damage to you, with his current build that something is wrong. There's a very big Varus and that was a lot of damage.
Yeah. World 6 getting flung away from Scout as he continues to split the map. It's a 1-3-1 from EDG, and OMG are trying to respond. This is the mistake you were talking about. Icon has to match Mouse right now.
It's a 1-3-1, but it's also top focus generally. So you might see Taliyah leave the lane now and even go towards the Dragon because they're against the teleporting member. They're mismatching their teleports, and yes, Taliyah can stop a Renekton TP, but if they're going for the Drake, if they've acknowledged that OMG will fight for the Drake, which they haven't, then you'd bring Taliyah down. Keep the mismatched lanes otherwise, use that to your advantage and chip away at the top turret, pressure the bottom turret and use Mouse. He is the Fed member of the team.
Ooh.
Here's a pivot point.
Exactly. That's the pivot point you were talking about. Icon flashes away from Chum the Waters. He doesn't want to take any chances in an extended fight with that Mouse. As now EDG turn on towards that Cloud Dragon, evening it up with OMG, 1 cloud to 1 cloud.
Yeah, and because there is no contest there from OMG, they can keep the same lane assignments here from the side of Edward Gaming. Have Mouse split push. They should take, I'm going to say, at least 3 characters on OMG's side to kill him. He is very big and slippery.
Oh, yeah. Is that not the name of this passage?
Big and slippery.
No, slippery. Not. That's the effectively no clip through minions and reduce damage from minions.
Yeah, I call it annoying.
Yeah, that should be what it is, yeah. As EDG just continue to play it nice and slow, bleeding out these tiny advantages over OMG. And these tiny paper cuts worth of damage are building up over time. Eventually, OMG got to respond. Now, 4 members of EDG are up top looking for the next tier 2, fighting over vision, but World 6 and 5 dodging skill shots are keeping themselves safe. And Xiyoung is going to try to answer Mouse. He's finished off his Spirit Visage, doesn't have his Black Cleaver yet, so he can't quite trade back, but at least he can survive.
At least this is better lane assignments from Icon. And I'm happy with what OMG are now looking at. World 6 has decided that health is the name of the game as well.
Oh, SMLZ, how did they sidestep that trap? Oh, man, now they step on it. Mako probably having a hearty chuckle as SMLZ remains passionless as always.
Taliyah blocks
Even
them off.
the Weaver's Wall to escort OMG actually towards the turret. Zed is firing across, and Mouse is now roaming towards that side of the map, outside of vision. If he makes his way around behind, he can get an excellent Chum the Waters into the back line.
They've
Spotted out by a ward, though. Mako is going to eat that shockwave as Mouse dodges around the side.
Oh, wow.
Good cast and a knockback. Scout gets pulled in and flashes away. He dies to Xiyoung, but the turret has fallen. It's a 1-for-1 in the extended fight, but Scout drops World 6. SMLZ respawns just in time, and Xiyoung is slowly but surely dying as the command attack does not do enough. So it's 2-for-1 and the turret, but OMG are on the board.
That was a really cool combo out of OMG though. World 6 knocking someone into a thresh hook, which was then into a box already set up, ready to go. But the difference between winning and losing that is that SMLZ is already dead anyway. The damage was absolutely lacking from OMG's side with their major carry gone. And Mouse is able to pick apart Icon, make sure the Orianna was completely zoned once he shows up. But this is a cool combo firstly, so watch how World 6 plays this one out. 5. Most importantly, this hook, ready to go at the same time. So
Yeah.
could not have played that better, except for having 5 people.
It's the small things that
Whoa,
we hope
whoa,
for.
whoa.
Whoa.
Cameraman was having a moment.
Yeah. Just checking out Pixel Brush.
No, just up and down.
Yeah.
He was dubstepping.
The dramatic cut back and forth, but now it's 7,000 gold, and as we said, EDG are just continuing to play this out. We saw OMG take a fight and find their first kill, though they did give up yet another death for it. But imagine if SMLZ was there. Imagine if he had finished his Infinity Edge, which he still has not completed. Icon, heck, he's almost got his own Rabadon's death cap.
And you know, you have to wonder if he's actually, because he's committing to the Infinity Edge, now foregoing the QSS. He just needs the damage sooner rather than later, and so he is going to be at higher risk of dying. Again, the way you come back from a position of, I guess, a deficit really. Yeah. Is by building full damage. You do have to take risks, that is definitely true, but by building full damage, you just have to play perfectly, opposed to...
5 gets caught by the Sonic Wave. And now a fight is breaking out in the jungle.
Shockwave
finds 3 people, but here's the flank from Zet. He's able to follow through. SMLZ tries to trade, but it is finished off by the remaining team, and OMG are falling apart. It looked great, but Zet just collapsed.
And because Zet dies, they can't go straight to the Baron, so they're threatening mid lane instead. Mouse does not care about your turrets. He will dive you.
He's still tanking aggro before finally leaping around. Xion can only sit and watch as the inhibitor turret is broken. Shattered, really.
And a much better decision from EDG to go for this inhibitor. They can call it quits there, run away, set up one more time. And this jungle control, this vision control that they're starting to cement themselves with, just unlocks the capabilities of fights like this. Firelolly aggressively follows this. The Shockwave, also very good. The ball never moved. They all just walked into it. But Zet makes sure they're all locked down. And more importantly, the Fed member of the team in Firelolly hits a great kick. Like, fantastic kick to knock them in. Mouse just comes in and cleans up the scraps at the end. But that was a flank Varus.
Yeah, finally SMLZ has finished off his Infinity Edge. Void Staff was actually the rotation from Icon, so he's delaying his damage a little bit more by focusing on the here and now, because 26 minutes in, Super Minions pushing down the mid lane in game number 5 of this 3rd place match. EDG have got all the control. They are up by 9,000 gold. And OMG, they have got to start winning these fights if they want to try to turn this match around.
They're building a lot of resistances on the side of EDG, so the most efficient damage route possible for Icon is going to be that Void Staff. And plain and simple, if EDG do not die throughout the duration of that Shockwave and the rest of the team compounding together, we've seen the Gragas Thresh combo happen in the last fight with Orianna Gragas. They don't die in that, then OMG lose.
There's a very small window that OMG are going to try to play around, but even so, it is becoming smaller and smaller. Mouse split pushing. He's already got 3,000 health. Absolutely massive. Xion can't do anything. As Firelolly eats a chunk. That's going to be ace in the hole. Not enough to finish him off, but the Weaver's Wall leaves World 6 isolated. He's pinned in, but is able to make his way over. 5 gets separated. Chain of Corruption makes his way down the line. SMLZ is snared and tries to kite it back as 5 will walk away with his life. Amazingly, OMG lose no one.
Yeah, Brahm's ulti was going for perhaps the Duke or to find him with just
They're
the edge
turning
of
onto
it.
the Baron on the far side. Scout is just zoning World 6 away, and that's the cast used as well. Meanwhile, EDG have been working towards it. Xion is still splitting bottom, still holding onto his teleport. There's nothing for him to teleport to, however.
No, not at all. And
Scout has
killed him.
killed World 6. That's the smite gone. Baron picked up by EDG, and as the Purple Worm fades, so too does OMG's hope in this best of 5 grow darker.
Yeah, it's now 10,000 the difference. This recall could be the last part of EDG's necessary factors for victory. The item spike, the fact that they're now set up, ready to go. I don't see any way back into this for OMG, to be perfectly honest with you. It's all about how can EDG close. Can they, or do they somehow bring themselves to one of those unnecessary chaotic fights?
We'll have to see if EDG can hold it together. Play composed, play intelligent, just keep on bleeding OMG out. Ultimate after ultimate, ability after ability. And more importantly, objective after objective. SMLZ now has his last whisper. The reason I keep referring his items is because he has popped off from worse situations than this and come back. If anyone's going to do it, it's on Icon. It's on SMLZ to do the damage.
And saying that Icon's one of those players that goes down fighting, not just letting it happen.
Absolutely.
So as these turrets fall, you have to worry for OMG. Their Orianna is probably just going to throw a Shockwave on a minion wave, and if it hits nobody, OMG's chances go out with that Shockwave.
Absolutely. Now with Mouse split pushing up top, and Baron-empowered super minions making their way into the base of OMG. The clock is ticking. They are running out of time. Xion is doing a lot of damage to Mouse, trying to get through him. Firelolly even shows up as well to help break down the turret. World 6 pulled in answer. That means it's 3 versus 3 on the bottom inhibitor turret, but again, the minions keep on crashing in.
And Talia also threatening the mid lane means that the Weaver's Wall can cut somebody off. You expect Mouse now to go back to top lane, try again. Firelolly can kind of just do as he pleases and walk around the map to try and draw somebody else with him if there's 2 top lane. So Suddenly there's actually a wall bottom.
Yeah, there's the Weaver's Wall you were talking about. Mako's in the front. 5 and World 6 force the fight, but 5 drops a box on no one. World 6 being knocked up, but SMLZ is free firing. Fire Lolly is
Here
dead.
comes Mouse.
But Mouse has joined the fight, and SMLZ has been assassinated. Zet wants to end this series here and now as OMG fall to the ground dead. Xiong makes his way towards the fountain to try and survive, but with 30 seconds on the death timer, Baron's still up for 80, and 4 members of EDG knocking on the fountain. They will turn towards the Nexus. They will end this series 3-2 and defeat OMG to claim 3rd place in the LPL Playoffs.
And with most of the base of OMG still alive, EDG just walked it down the middle lane after getting a team fight. It was pretty plain and simple from them in the end. Get the Baron buff and win the game. But Fire Lolly and Mouse come in for game number 5. They get a clean victory, and they spill some water on themselves and walk away.
It's excitement. Everyone is pumped up. Big sigh of relief out of Mako as you see he finishes off that series. That should not have gone to 5 for EDG, for the prestige we expect of this organization. And Fire Lolly with a very big grin along with Mouse. They're like, what are you talking about? That was one game. That was easy. What were you guys having trouble with?
Clear Love subbed out. Koro subbed out, and suddenly the superstars come in. It's still weird to say.
Absolutely. You can see them shaking hands with OMG right now. Some very somber faces, though they should still be very proud. They have not made it this far in almost 3 years, 2.5 years. And with a deep bow, EDG once again defeat their opponents, having never lost a best of 5 to the likes of OMG.
That holds true.
And it does hold true here. You can see World 6, the newest addition to Team OMG. The team that was 1 game away from being relegated to playoffs, now running all the way up to Game 5 against EDG, going all the way up to 3rd and 4th place in the playoffs. The growth we have seen in the past 6 months has been phenomenal. And guess what's in 6 months more? Worlds. Can they actually push? Only time will tell.
Yeah, but for now, OMG should only be proud about how they finished this split off in the top 4 in their region. Is still a very commendable thing, the biggest region in the world. And they've managed to go from a team that had almost gotten relegated to being in the semifinals.
Of
Still
course.
commendable, but EDG, even though they finished 3rd, even though they finished in the top 3, they would not be all that happy with how this has ended for them.
Yeah, speak with results. Now here to help us break down this series overall and talk about what this means is Indiana Frost here on Black. Welcome back.
Yeah, and I think Rusty already really hit it on the head there. This idea of different trajectories and kind of different starting and ending points. EDG, 3rd place, this is not what the organization has ever wanted. This victory was expected, and it was much harder to earn than it really should have been for this caliber of team in the LPL. Whereas OMG, we said them even making to the playoffs was already the victory lap, and they went the distance, like 0 to hero, full Hercules moment for this team. It's now the question of, yeah, can they make Worlds in 6 months? It's going to be harder now that they've got the 4th place, less championship points now, but they're off to a great start, and their fans can only be nothing but pleased with them.
And again, when you look at it the other way, though EDG, they didn't end up in the top 2 for finals for the first time in 2.5 years, they still get the 3rd place worth of championship points, so they will have the opportunity to look for Worlds that much easier next split.
Yeah, it is easier, but again, EDG never want to end up here.
Of course.
And frankly, I still think that they're kind of drowning a bit. They're trying to figure out who they are and, you know, mixing it up in a series like this, starting Clear Love and Koro, things seem to go right, then it stalls out. They go back to Fire Lolly and Mouse. I mean, it speaks to the strength of the organization that they're able to kind of reset like that, bring in 2 refreshed members and close out the series. I don't want to take the victory away from them, but there are definite growing pains that they need to fix before they can take on the likes of RNG and Team WE.
And I wonder if the concern is that, you know, Fire Lolly and Mouse are the best performing players for each role at the moment, but they don't want to have just that as their skill ceiling. They want to have Clear Love and Koro come back in because they are the players that played a part in winning MSI and beating SKT, like being the best in the world for a split. Mouse, Fire Lolly, they don't exactly provide the same thing, even though they're currently better.
Yeah, and this actually creates a very interesting question because you look at EDG, like you said, drowning, struggling with this new setup. You look at some of the best organizations in the world, TSM, SKT. I say this with the connotation that these are teams that are able to put together strong rosters for a long time, and Scout has really stepped up to bring EDG together.
But this is what drives me crazy. I knew that Scout would get the MVP. Like, Fire Loli and Mouse were not the difference that game. Yeah, Fire Loli had a great performance on Lee Sin, but Clearlove could have done that exact thing. The biggest difference was Scout on the Taliyah, unlocking himself, moving around, getting the bot lane started, setting up these big team fights. Like, this could have been anyone, and this champion was pretty much unlocked for the majority of the series. Icon took it away a couple of times, so why weren't EDG prioritizing it higher? Why don't they know what they're good at?
It really does create a troubling question, but of course Scout was still able to pop off in this game. To get back to what I was referring to, the fact that we're seeing 2017, so many organizations, Professional League has been a thing now for 7 years. We're in season 7, and we're looking at the likes of SKT being really the only team to see paramount success by shuffling in new players and constantly climbing to the top. And EDG now, they're never seen really big success themselves. How do these teams sort of rebuild and match this? You're looking confused.
Because SKT didn't I was actually just having this conversation with Rusty today. Yes, SKT have brought in new members, but the core unit still exists. It's Wolf, Bang, Faker, and more importantly, Coma. And it's that grounding force. And yeah, you can rotate in, you know, the peanuts and the blanks and the easy and everything that you want. But even just Faker and Coma, if you even want to go back to like Piglet and Pumondu days, like that is what SKT is great at.
Yeah, so extending that, you look to the likes of EDG, the core of that
was Clearlove.
Exactly. And now he comes in for 4 games and goes 2-2 against OMG. A year ago, that would have been blasphemy.
Well, he also picked Elise, and he's not an Elise player. As soon as I saw that, literally backstage, I was like, EDG have lost this. We're going to Game 5.
Okay, so then moving forward for EDG, they did lose. We saw they are trying new things as an organization. They are changing out this core of players. TSM, they've still got their core of Bjergsen and that old organization. You look at the likes of Fnatic, they've swapped out their core as well, and they're no longer seeing success. All over the world, we're seeing new changes as time goes on. How do Chinese teams, how does EDG pull it together and finally see success?
Well, they've changed what their core identity is already at the start of this split, and it's Mako and the rest of the team. And like the simplest way I can bring this back to you is game number 5 was Mako making the change. He picked the Braum, and Braum was the deciding factor in getting kills or winning lane or not losing lane. Like quite simply, the support put the team on the back. Yes, Scout played better, but it was also the work of Mako to set things up, have the vision or save fight, because he's always there ready to go at the right time. So the core of the team has changed, and that to me is why EDG might look inconsistent or potentially young, because they're redeveloping around a new core.
Okay, and if they're able to get 3rd place with this new core, do we have expectations for them to move on and get towards 1st place as Summer Split approaches?
I don't know if 6 months is a long enough time with the skill ceiling of Fire Loli and Mouse is the concern. Like the point that Rusty brought up earlier is that you know that you have possibly world caliber talent in Koro and Clearlove, that they can reach that, they can hit that, but we don't know if Mouse and Fire Loli are capable.
Well, I mean, only time will tell. Then you look towards the other team on the opposite side, the likes of OMG. It seems like they've just now found their core halfway through the split and rotating around Icon and SMLZ, really seeing World 6 pop off and Xiyoung shot calling sort of that late game. And if they've managed to find that much growth over a regular season, we continue to see how they will improve in the summer split. But now we'll turn our attention towards the playoffs, which are happening in just a week in Nanjing, China. We've got RNG taking on Team WE. And it seems like this Clash of the Titans has been a long time coming now that we're finally seeing EDG drop out of the finals for the first time in 2.5 years.
Yeah, I mean, to put it simply, Uzi's never won a title. RNG are in a final.
Yeah.
You're going to say this is a pretty important one for him. Of course, RNG have won for those that have seen it at MSI, but Uzi wasn't with the team at that point in time. So there's going to be a very hungry one-way street running through Nanjing, and it's going to be the Uzi train.
But on the same token, Team WE have also never won an LPL title. So speaking of Uzi's hunger, you know Team WE want to go back to the old World Elite and reclaim their glory. So it's not quite the same thing to Uzi because it's eluded him for 5 years now, but WE are certainly still hungry.
Well, when was the last time we saw 2012, was it? 2013 was Season 3.
2013, they made playoffs.
Okay, yeah. It's been a long time.
Yep.
So 4 years versus 5. Again, these are huge storylines culminating this week in Nanjing, China. We're going to be there. It's going to be fantastic. And which team do you guys think is going to take it? Are you excited for this matchup? I mean, obviously the huge storylines.
I think the first thing that I actually would like to say about this as well is that I'm happy that we've got these two teams, that it wasn't EDG or OMG actually competing in the finals, because I believe that between RNG and Team WE, we are sending one of our best 2 teams to actually go to the event. So as for who would win, I personally believe that WE should win, but if RNG play at their best, they're better than Team WE.
Okay.
So it really is about who shows up on the day. I'd pick RNG.
Yeah, and we've seen how important that is, even here today for EDG. Frost, what about you?
No, I'm in the similar boat. I think it's this idea that RNG, if they can reach their highest, they can hit like a 95 out of 100. But Team WE, they're consistently sitting at an 80, whereas RNG are more consistently sitting at around a 70. So if RNG can stretch and really flex their miracle potential, I think they can walk over WE. But WE are so frustrating and so consistent to play against.
Yes, well, that will be happening in just a few days in the Nanjing Olympic Sports Arena Gymnasium in Nanjing, China. If you can get tickets, highly recommend it. If not, just be sure to watch us live, as that's going to be happening soon. But that's going to do it for us. There's one best of 5 left in the 2017 spring season, the Grand Finals. On behalf of myself, my co-casters, my analysts, the whole production crew, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in China in a week.